Okay. Cope, what was your first season at Barnstormers? Because I realized Doug and I, this would have been my 10th and Doug's 20th.
1958.
1958. That's awesome.
And I didn't know what I was doing.
We still don't know what we're doing.
No, I know. And those of us who were relatively new to the company, we're not too forward. Francis was Francis, and we waited for him. And he would come in with a stack of not scripts, sides,
Wow.
which I had never encountered.
Wow.
And he handed you learned that morning, Wednesday, what part you were playing. He handed it to you, the sides. What are these? And they were your cues. That's all you had. And you didn't have the full sentence. You just had about 4 or 5 words. So you started pretty much doing a rehearsal to find out what the damn play was about.
Makes you listen, though.
It's true.
Boy, it would make you listen.
I feel like that would be more complicated.
Well, I feel like that's very Shakespearean. I feel like they didn't have money for scripts when the players were doing it in Shakespeare's time, so they would that's where the cue line comes from. They just give you'd have to wait around and listen for your one line you knew was in the play before you started talking.
This is what I don't understand. In the short time you have to put these shows together, you don't have anybody sitting on a book to prompt.
Right, yeah, we don't have a prompter now. It's true.
But we did when we first got there, and it was Brad. It was amazing.
Doug, when you started 20 years ago, Brad was still the prompter. When did
Brad was still the prompter. He was stage left. We had the schedule that Cope mentioned, and we would call it, if you were center stage and you went up on a line, you would suddenly just your blocking would just sort of move stage left, and you would lean to the left, and we called it going to Bradland. And Brad, who had been opening his Pepsi and rustling his chips, would shout out in his New Hampshire accent, to be or not to be, that is the question. But I was specifically hired because you saw that I was a singer, and we were doing a show called Shipple the Plumber.
Oh, yes.
Which one audience member asks for every year, and I tell her no, because it's not a good play.
No, I loved it. I was the one who picked that play.
You're incorrect, Cope. And
No, I'm not incorrect. I loved that play.
And the show is it's a German lieder quartet.
Yep.
And they've lost their tenor, which they changed to bass because I was going to be coming in to do it.
Yeah.
And and then the bass who's and he's the local plumber. He's not high society. He's a mess. And he falls in love with the daughter of the guy who's his antagonist, who is Amanda Baker, my best friend, who came in with me that summer as well. And we both just kept getting hired again and again.
Well, I have a lovely note from you, Cope, that means so much to me. When Doug and Blair and Shayna and I did Sylvia.
Yeah.
6 or 7 years ago, I don't know how many, 5, 6, 7, you wrote the cast a really lovely note saying how much you had enjoyed the show and how proud you thought Francis would have been of the acting that we were doing in it. Yeah. And that is just one of the most meaningful things that somebody has said post.
Oh, there you go.
So, thank you for that.
I was telling them a Sylvia story. After I did Sylvia, and I was the 3 people, the 3 friends, one of whom was a female friend of Madeleine's. So a couple years later, I'm doing the producers. This is Roger Debris, and he walks down the stairs in a gown. And we're looking for shoes that fit me downstairs in the costume shop. And this sentence actually came out of my mouth. I know there is a pair of tan pumps in this building that fits me. I'm like, oh God, what has my life become? We found them. They were there in the women's dressing room, and I wore them again.
I have to say, I just auditioned at an EPA 10 years ago in New York, and luckily I didn't know how impossible it was to get into Barnstormers, or I would have been more intimidated at the audition. But I feel like Jordan's experience of coming in is sort of a combination of the audition in New York and was already a part of the community up there.
Well, I feel lucky because I got to. So Madeleine did it for 10 years, and I've done it for 3. So I had 7 years of coming up and just being an audience member and just getting to enjoy the shows and enjoy the cast and people I got to meet afterward and stuff. So when I got a chance to do it, and I've done mostly Agatha Christie's, but I think the Agatha Christie is the most fun at Barnstormers. I don't think anybody else does it really around the country the way we do it, and we do it every year, and I think that's really fun. So it was my favorite, and I've gotten to do that a few times. And yeah, I feel like I married into it, which is nice. You know, I feel like it's still the kind of Barnstormers where they're bringing couples together, and that's lovely.
Because I don't remember doing Agatha Christie for quite a long time, and then Francis put one into the season, and he got such positive audience reaction.
Yeah.
And he didn't like doing them. So he. But anyway.
But they sell, don't they?
Decided, yeah, we should do one.
Yeah.
They do get a good audience response. I mean, even while you're on stage in an Agatha, you feel the audience there with you more than almost any other kind of show, because you'll hear little whispers or comments, people trying to figure things out, or
it's a mystery.
That's fun to really feel that you're all in the same room together.
Yeah. For one time, what was the show we were doing? I love it. We've never done it since. It was a crazy musical, and I can't think of the title. Something's Afoot, and the opening number goes on and on and on, and actors go off stage, sort of one by one, make a costume change, and come back on and join back in on the singing. And Francis couldn't deal with this. Absolutely couldn't deal with it. And somehow he got Gary Beach to come up and direct it.
Oh, wow.
And he was wonderful.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, Gary really works you. And for Sheila, at one point, she broke down, started crying. I can't do it anymore, please. And he was very kind. He said, okay, we'll take a break. And, but I think it was because she was so intense on what she was doing. And, oh, God, she was funny in it. And I did it with, I was the soldier or something. And I did it with, most of my numbers were with Paula Rubinate, Danny's wife. It was a delight to work with. But I remember that show, and I've often wondered why somebody.
Probably for the exact reasons Francis couldn't deal with it at the beginning.
What?
Somebody starts looking at it and just gets overwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh, and he never picked it again, that's for sure.
There's a great song called I've Got a Teeny Little Dinghy about how they're going to escape the island.
What?
There's a song called I've Got a Teeny Little Dinghy about how they're going to escape the island. He's going to take in the little dinghy, but obviously you know where they're going with that. And,
I was wondering, did you work on Our Town when Francis was the stage manager? And then have you played the stage manager as well?
Yeah, I was Dr. Gibbs. Each time, the first time I was too young for it, but I was Dr. Gibbs.
Okay.
And there was a wonderful actress who came over from Portland, Maine, by the name of Elda Long. Elda had a Maine accent. You could get rid of, but Elda was wonderful.
That's right. It's right for the show.
That's right.
And Elda was terrified of thunderstorms. And she used to stay at the inn. And they would say that when there was a thunderstorm and lightning, Elda would just huddle on the steps at the inn. Well, we had a thunderstorm during Our Town, and I had a scene with Elda. And wild flashes and so forth. Elda was a pro. Never praised her.
She was in character. Her character wasn't scared of thunderstorms.
That's true.
So how many times have you done that particular play, Cope?
Our Town?
Yeah.
I think I did Doc Gibbs 3 times. And then after Francis died, Clayton cast me as the stage manager, and I was a little, I thought, I shouldn't be doing this. And the 2 plays that I sort of feel, because they were Francis's plays, and he was so damn good in them.
Yeah.
Our Town and Harvey, and his Harvey was unbelievable. Not that Dale's wasn't good. Dale's was very good.
Dale's is really good.
Yeah. Very good. But Francis was, he was just unbelievable. And it was, I just loved watching. And he would say, I think he always he directed it. And then he said one summer, we're going to do Harvey again. I want you to direct it. Want me to direct it? I don't know. Well, I didn't have to direct it.
Yeah.
I have to block it, maybe.
We know how this goes.
Yeah, I didn't have to direct it. And that was a joy.
I do love Harvey, and both Harvey and Our Town are a favorite. Of course, I've never seen Harvey up at Barnstormers, and I never got to see Francis doing them, but they are both wonderful plays.
Yeah.
And the last Our Town was 9 years ago, because I remember it was my first, while I was doing Witness for the Prosecution, and I got to see just the designer run through in the town hall.
Was that the time Dale did it?
When Dale did it.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful with, in its purest form, no costumes, no sets, no lighting, just the actors in their street clothes in town hall. It was fantastic. I know I missed seeing the full product, but I don't feel like I missed out at all.
Yeah.
And my wife used to do one of the, which one did she do? She did one of the wives. And the pantomime of the
Beans.
She was so good. She loved doing that.
Oh.
Madeleine, Jordan, can you remember any sort of specific lessons you learned from other actors that had been there a while?
Oh, man.
You know what I love about it, because coming out of New York, where it was so intense all the time, and when you were acting, there was a lot of pressure on things. When you got to Barnstormers, it was lovely, and the spirit of the thing, but it was so fast. Like you had to trust everybody real quick. And if you're a first year, luckily I knew a few people, but it's real fast. Even now, it's not as fast as it used to be, but it's still 10 days at best to put up a show with strangers from the ground up. Yeah. And I think that teaches you a lot of things. I think you get to be a lot better of an actor, because you stop being in your head and judging yourself, and you start having to do immediately. And what is somebody else doing for me? And so, I think that was something exciting that really helped me grow as an actor at Barnstormers, was the ability just to throw yourself in there. You don't get to overthink this. This is a doing job. Yeah,
for me too, definitely.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm the most looking forward to, hopefully, when we can all gather again.
Opening the theaters again, yes.
That will be beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing you two again.
Yeah.
We hope so.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see everybody again. It's going to be hard not to be in Tamworth and around the beautiful Barnstormers community this summer, but we'll see.
I might go anyway, because if I turn 50 on June 30th, and if Rosie's is open, I'm working that day as a toast expediter. If I've got to walk up there.
Well, remind me, because I want to be there.
You're all going to come in. I will make you all toast and grilled cinnamon buns.
If we weren't a country away, we would also be there. Yeah.
I'll pack some to you.
We should probably wrap this up for today. But it was so much fun. I could listen to theater stories all day.
Yeah.